changes could a new owner bring to the social platform used by 170 million Americans? Here with us is Chloe Aiello, reporter at Inc. magazine. Hello, Chloe. You've been following this very closely. What could new ownership mean for the future of this very popular social media app?
Hey, Hannah. Well, thank you so much for having me here today. So it's interesting. Obviously, we've been following along with talks that, comments that Trump had said about TikTok, saying that he was in talks with multiple parties over securing a potential agreement to switch leadership over TikTok. There were multiple reports suggesting that Oracle was one of these parties, and additionally saying that he would have an announcement to make within about a month here. Now, likely when we're looking at this agreement, what would happen is that Oracle, which already was brought in about 2022 to help secure U.S. user data, what would likely happen is that they would, take more of a security role to sort of assuage the concerns of Washington, whereas TikTok would still exist to manage day-to-day operations. So at this point, it isn't quite clear whether the user experience would change at all. And it is worth mentioning, too, that Trump did not confirm that Oracle was, in fact, one of the parties that he was in talks with.
Very quickly, would TikTok keep the algorithm? Because I think that's the proprietary algorithm is what everyone's worried about.
It's such a big question, and it's really hard to say. Sure. With those managers maintaining day-to-day operations, it isn't quite clear what we would see, although it is worth mentioning that Trump has sort of changed his tone on this, suggesting that, it is less important whether or not China is spying on youth user data and whether they're watching videos on TikTok. So we've heard some swaps in terms of how Trump stands on this, since, of course, the app was taken offline the day before inauguration.
For a half day, I remember. I also want to ask you about another major focus for our president, artificial intelligence. This week, Trump announcing a $500 billion investment from major tech companies to build AI infrastructure. Elon Musk obviously not happy, but this comes as he cuts staff and freezes hiring across the federal government. Why is AI now such a priority for him? It certainly wasn't 4 years ago.
What's interesting is that, as you mentioned, there were a series of AI announcements that came out this week. There were 2 executive orders, one overturning a Biden-era executive order that was attempting to install some safeguards over AI, promote innovation while also maintaining U.S. civil rights, privacy rights for consumers. Another that, as you mentioned, sort of was designed to promote innovation and have an AI action plan. And then, of course, this really big $500 billion investment. I do want to mention that Trump did sort of harken back to his first term and point out that he had passed some initial AI infrastructure or executive orders, excuse me. So this has been a focus of him for a while, but this is a major existential change coming to technology. It's supposed to really just transform so many industries. So it's no wonder that Trump, inherently a businessman, is focusing on this.
I want to ask you more about that. How will Trump support this $500 billion investment accelerate advancements in AI?
It's interesting because, of course, the CEOs that he invited to make this announcement, we're talking about Oracle, Larry Ellison again, OpenAI and Sam Altman, and SoftBank, which is supposed to be taking financial responsibility of this project. They did give a lot of credit to Trump, but it isn't actually quite clear how exactly he is supporting this, aside from potentially removing any blocks or roadblocks to accelerating this project through. He did maintain when Elon Musk was coming in and criticizing it, suggesting that SoftBank hadn't secured as much funding as it had claimed to. Sam and Altman again sort of firing shots, suggesting that he was wrong. There's lots of feuding happening here. But Trump did say that he had hoped and he believed that they had secured the funding, but also reiterating that the federal government isn't really on the hook for this. This is an investment coming from these major players, and that he's sort of going to be, I would say, shepherding in this deal.
We're talking about our president. We're talking about billionaire tech owners. But what does this investment mean for the average American, me and you?
It's such a big question, and I want to point out the IMF did release a report suggesting that 40% of global employment would be exposed to AI, but in advanced economies, 60%. And of course, the U.S. being one of those advanced economies, about half of those 60% expected to see some sort of productivity gains from AI, while the other half experiencing some of these threats that we mentioned. So potentially lower wages, potentially some redundancy, potentially elimination of roles.
What jobs would be affected most?
It's hard to say at this point. Sure. There are, of course, some of these more skilled jobs that we're talking about receiving some of the benefits from this, but we could see, AI is decades old at this point. We experience it daily, whether we know it or not. But what the revolution in generative AI could propose is anyone's guess. There are folks suggesting that, biotech converging with wearables, converging with AI could promote major innovation in terms of, disease study, pharmaceutical drugs. We're likely to see decision-making and automation in things like self-driving vehicles, for example. There are so many applications of this potentially. We don't even know the extent of it quite yet.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.